And I would like to start with saying that production today is more and more globalized. We are really talking about globalized production processes, supply chains reaching out across continents. Data and products are circulating all around the globe within seconds. And it's against this backdrop that cooperation also plays an important role. Cooperation is also happening all over the globe. So it's not just about how we produce something and where we produce something, but how we work together at a global scale. It's about communication and how we communicate in order to create new values. An improved global cooperation also leads to a situation that we can produce in a better way together. And this is something we need in order to stay competitive at the international market. On the other side, our work processes are continuously changing and quite a lot. We are faced with new challenges all the time. In order to live up to these challenges, we have to adapt work processes adequately. The way we work together, the tools which we use in cooperation, and our work processes need to be modernized, which is why I want to talk about immersive technologies. And I want to show how we can use these technologies in order to design new work processes. So first of all, quite briefly, please allow me to introduce myself. I am a research associate at the Institute for Information Management in Engineering in the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology. I studied IT and did my bachelor and master there. And now I went to mechanical engineering, and there I work on extended reality, virtual reality, and augmented reality. I've been looking into these technologies since 2017, and now I decided to dig even deeper into it. I believe that extended reality is necessary today. We are surrounded by digital information. We do not only live in the physical world, we also live in the digital world. Only the digital world is not really tangible. With the help of extended reality technology, we can interact in an intuitive way with the digital world. And also, I believe that extended reality gives us the possibility to come across the limitations that we have space-wise and time-wise, and we can develop new concepts of work. So extended reality is very suitable to implement new and more flexible types of work. Let me just give you a bit of an overview over my presentation. First of all, I would like to give you motivation for what new work is supposed to be. Then I would like to talk about the concepts of collaborative work and immersive technologies. Afterwards, I would like to give you some concrete examples as to how immersive technologies can be used to develop new work processes. And at the end, I will give you a short summary. So currently, what are the new work trends? Recent days, I took a look at a number of magazines and read a couple of articles, and I brought together a couple of quotes here. So to summarize matters, we can say that more and more employees would wish for more flexible work, and that they think that it would make them happy, that 77% of them would work even more productive with more flexibility. And Bloomberg suggests that management should not be against WFH, so working from home, but rather that management and coordination processes should be adapted to allow for work from home and to keep up to scratch with working from home tendencies. Now, not all of the industries can be digitalized in such a way that everyone can work from home or produce from home, but there are other possibilities. In the top article, this is about General Electric. They try to offer more flexible ways of work by shortening the working week. And in the McKinsey article below, it is made clear that when we are talking about flexible work, we do not just refer to a certain space, but also to the way we work, to how we do work, and at what time we do work. And the last statement says that sometimes digital tools and technical tools are necessary to realize certain processes at all. We have heard today, various times actually, that processes today mean digitalization moves forward ever faster. And I brought together some of the accelerating factors. As was said before, this is globalized production. And as I said before, it's digital transformation. The more digital our context is, the more we can use digital information in order to work in different areas and at different times. Those factors go hand in hand. Digital transformation is necessary for global production, and they actually influence each other. And we also talked about something before we had the pandemic a couple of years ago, and I think we all saw that all of a sudden we depended on working in a more digital format in order to be able to work during lockdown at all. This accelerated the transformation process, and it accelerated the process to work in a digital format. And then in Europe and in Germany, we have the lack of skilled employees. More and more people of the boomer generation go into retirement, and less experts come up, so we can't really staff all the positions, which means we have to come up with new concepts. And I would like to talk about a couple of concepts now that help us to come up with new methods and new types of work. This is now a bit theoretical. Don't be afraid, I'm going to be quick. So we have two dimensions along which you can do collaborative work. It's the time dimension and the space dimension. Along the space dimension, the work between individual participants can happen by them coming together at the same space like we do today, or if they come into a virtual space of work together. Same for the time dimension. We can come together at the same time, or we can work at different times, and thus different categories for cooperation come. It's synchronous co-local work, that's personal meetings, that's pretty clear, I suppose. Then there is synchronous distributed work through video conferences. Along the time axis, we have asynchronous co-localized cooperation, like with shift work. So workers work in the same space but come at different times. And the last category is asynchronous distributed cooperation, which happens, for example, with Google Docs, with shared cloud documents. Everyone can be very flexible and give their contribution at any point of time in any space. And now I would like to talk about immersive technologies and what kind of possibilities they offer. First of all, I would like to hit you with a number of terms. There is extended reality, virtual reality, and so forth. And there are even further concepts, and there are lots of devices with which the virtuality can be visualized. Let's try to order the technologies somewhat. To this end, let me look at the at the reality continuum. It starts with reality, and on the right, it ends with the total virtual reality. And on the way towards it, we have different layers, different levels of virtuality. There is AR, which is augmented reality. In that case, we are in reality. It's enriched through virtual information and digital objects. On the way to complete reality, we have another step, the augmented virtuality, that's AV. And there we are in virtual reality. However, we see excerpts from real reality. And at the end, virtual reality, well, there we are we are completely in virtual reality mode. Now, there are devices that can handle different types of virtuality and also provide for transition. Those are the so-called mixed reality devices, and it's mixed reality software to go with it. And extended reality, or XR, is a kind of collective term for all of these technologies taken together. So now I hope that you have been provided with a bit of clarity. Now I want to show you a couple of examples with virtual reality. We have made the experience that it's always good to show something. Our first application example is hybrid meetings, like in Teams, but with the help of extended reality technology, we can see 3D data and we can cooperate with spatial information. Next example would be decision making. Here, this is an example from engineering. There, people meet in virtual reality and can analyze products or product ideas together and come up with joint decisions. And products do not even have to exist yet. Next example is training and simulation. I believe we talked about this particular field of application before. You can take real spaces or spaces that do not exist and virtualize them, simulate machines, create certain training scenarios that are not dangerous for humans. And last but not least, just as important, is the marketing and sales example. Virtual reality or extended reality technologies can provide you with very high resolution images and graphics. We can simulate real lighting situations, and thus it can be used for marketing purposes as well. With a view to the time, let's just continue now. Now, when we have extended reality technologies, immersive technologies, the design space for collaborative work can be expanded. So we have the XR axis, and along that axis, we have symmetrical and asymmetrical collaboration. With symmetrical collaboration, all of us are in the same reality, so everyone uses virtual reality. With the asymmetric collaboration, it might be that part of the team works in augmented reality mode, whereas another part of the team uses virtual reality. And now I come to the interesting part, namely, how can we create even more flexible working processes by using immersive technologies? First of all, let's take the space axis. I think this is the simplest one and most easy to understand. From co-local collaboration, we can go to remote collaboration with the help of these technologies. the individual participants, with the help of IT computer systems, can be in their own virtual workspace. What is particularly important in that is to make sure that this joint working room has the same situation for everyone, because inconsistent situation would lead to errors and inconsistent mode of working. Here again, an example. We have the user with the blue t-shirt has a remote colleague with a remote object who was added into the local room, and then they can communicate and theoretically also cooperate. So what about the timeline? Along the time axis, the technology can be used for spatial and physical processes to be digitalized and to be made available at a later point in time. So here we have a theoretical concept behind it. Say a user works with virtual or physical objects. In doing so, the user uses an extended reality system and is tracked while doing it. While the work happens, the person's work is recorded, and it can be replayed, and it can be moved into the network and made available to other people. At any point of time, other people can take a look at what colleagues did at an earlier point of time, although the colleagues are no longer in there. So virtual reality is in virtual reality, avatars can be there at any point of time. So the colleague takes a look at what the previous colleague did, and starting from that state of work, next colleague can take up the work and continue, and is recorded by the extended reality system, and then his part of the work is being shown to the first worker or to a random number of workers. That's what's called asynchronous collaboration, and that's my field of work here. We have a couple of examples. So on the left-hand side, you have a user who wears a virtual reality headset and is in a position to move into a please don't interfere mode in order to work in a focused mode. And while this person is working, at another point of time, a colleague comes into the room, talks to him, and leaves behind a physical object. But he doesn't even notice this. But at another point of time, let me try to move the video forward. So at another point of time, when the person leaves the focus mode, can go back to when the colleague came in and find out when the colleague communicated with him. Take another example from engineering. This is about the lack of skilled workers. Here, someone who knows about the parts and knows how they're being assembled can simply show how these are brought together and assembled, and an unexperienced user at a different point of time can see the visualization and in parallel go through the work steps. This is a very simple and intuitive way to document the work and to make it available at another point of time or to store it for eternity. Now let's talk about the last axis along the extended reality continuum. Now here it was easier to show a video to give you the example what we mean. So here it's about transitions that are created along the realities. Here at the beginning you saw a user that is in a physical space, and by more and more digital information comes in up until such a point when the person is in a completely virtual reality space, which would be here. And here the person would be in augmented virtuality. You see his colleague from the real world moves along to see it. And here I have another example from our current research project. This is about flexible production. You see a robot cell which can be transferred in a flexible way. More and more projects come in, and the robot cell needs to be reconfigured. Production to a very high degree it can be automated, but the reconfiguration processes, since you do not know what it's supposed to look like, very often it's trial and error. For those reconfiguration processes, we probably always need people. And these reconfiguration processes, we want to make them more tangible and easier for humans. At the moment, reconfiguration of robots and robot trajectories happens in such a way that an employee takes the programming panel of the robot in their hands. They have some idea of the space, and numerically they define where the robot should go to next. With the help of augmented reality, we want to allow a user to wear a HoloLens or an augmented reality or augmented reality glasses and simply moves the 3D objects into space, and then a path is generated digitally. It can be moved into numerics, and thus the robot can be programmed. For humans, this is a much more a much easier way of work instead of using your spatial understanding and interacting with numbers. So if we advance the video a bit, here we have moved further. So you see the whole thing in virtual reality. You could actually add remote colleagues who could help you in planning the reconfiguration and who could allow for remote processes to happen. Right, this brings me almost to the end of my presentation. Let's go for a very short summary. What have we learned today, or what have we seen? The trend for collaboration, not just in production but across all industries, more and more goes towards flexible work and remote work. Remote work cannot be done by everyone and for everyone, but work can be done in a more flexible way, in a different type. The three axes, room or space, time, and extended reality, are available to do so. Extended reality gives us new opportunities to make physical work ready for remote work. Thank you very much for your attention, and if there are questions,